Good day to you children. Today we will be learning about thrust and pressure. So here, consider a situation where there is sand everywhere and you are standing on top of the sand. If you have ever played in sand, then you will know that when you stand on top of sand, your feet will go inside it. Right? Your feet will go inside. Whereas if you were to lie on sand, if you were to lie down on sand like this, then you would have observed that when you lie down or when you sit on the sand, then you would have observed that your feet or your body doesn't go as inside the sand as it did when you were standing upright. So here, what happens? Your feet applies some force on the sand because your weight which acts downwards, it is a force which is acting downwards. It applies some force on the sand, and this force varies according to the area which is in contact with the sand. Here only the feet were in contact, so lots and lots of force was acting on a small patch of area. That is why you went more in. Whereas here the same amount of force was acting on a larger expanse of area. So that is why you wouldn't go that inside the sand. So here, what is the difference between both of these forces is that first, one of the force which acts perpendicular to the surface is called as thrust. When this particular thrust acts on various expanse of areas, then we call it as pressure. That is, pressure is force acting upon an unit area. That is, pressure is denoted by P. Thrust is once again denoted by F. It is force itself. So P is equal to force upon area. That is why when you stand on sand here, large amount of force is acting on a small area. That is why you feel that you are sinking into the sand more. Whereas when you are lying down, the same amount of force is acting on a wider area. That is why you don't sink that deep into the sand. So this is the relationship when pressure is inversely proportional to area. That means when area increases, area upon which the force is acting increases, pressure automatically decreases. Whereas when area decreases, area upon which the force acting decreases, then automatically the pressure increases. That is the inverse proportional relationship between pressure and area. Another example is that sharp objects like knife, nail, they have sharp edges. Why? Because because of the sharp edges, their area of action is very, very small, and hence when you apply some force due to the lesser amount of area, they can cut the objects very easily. Similarly, the tires of heavy vehicles like trucks, buses, they have very huge tires because an increase in area will decrease the pressure which the wheels will experience because the vehicles are massive. So moving ahead, we have a problem here. Example 10.6, where before that, one more thing, SI unit of pressure SI unit of pressure is Pascal. Denoted by capital P and small a, PA. Pascal. It was named after the scientist Pascal himself. This is the SI unit of pressure. In example 10.6, they have given us a wooden block of mass M equal to 5 kilograms. And its dimensions have also been given to us. They have asked us to calculate the pressure which the block exerts when kept on a surface when its face touching the surface is 20 by 10 centimeters. That is when the block is kept like this. In the figure, you can see the figure in your textbooks. When the block is kept with its surface or face of dimensions 20 centimeter and 10 centimeter touching the surface. We have to calculate the pressure in. So first, the wooden block is kept on the tabletop with its faces 20 centimeter by 10 centimeter in contact with the tabletop. So now, in this case, the pressure, we have to calculate the pressure which the wooden block is exerting on the tabletop in this case. So here first, let us calculate force or thrust. Thrust or force, as we know, is equal to mass into acceleration. Since the only acceleration we are considered here is acceleration due to gravity, we are writing it as m into g. We know that m is 5 kilograms and we know that the value of g is 9.8 meter per second square. So we get thrust or force is equal to 49 Newton. Since the force is acting perpendicular to the surface of the tabletop, I am calling it as thrust rather than force. So it is 49 Newtons. So now we know and we want another thing, that is area of contact. So area of contact here is 20 centimeter into 10 centimeter, which is equal to 200 centimeters square, which is in terms of meters equal to 0.02 meters square. So now we know that pressure is equal to thrust or force. Previously I wrote it as force, which is also we can replace by thrust because both are one and the same. So thrust by area is equal to 49 by 0.02. So which is equal to 2450 Pascal, Newton per meter square or Pascal. This is the amount of pressure on the tabletop due to the wooden block which has been kept with sides 20 by 10 centimeters touching the surface. So now if the third side is 40 centimeter. So if the wooden block is rotated right side clockwise, then the dimensions touching the surface of the tabletop are 40 by 20. At that time, since 40 into 20 is 800 centimeter square, automatically the area will increase. So we learned that if area increases, the pressure must decrease. So 49 divided by 0.08, we get pressure is equal to 612.5 pascals. Obviously, it is much smaller than 2450 pascals. So we can see that the second part of the question is for you to solve. You can pause the video and solve it right now. So we can see that as area increases, pressure decreases, and if area decreases, then pressure will increase. So coming to fluids, fluids means anything which can flow. So, or in simpler terms, all gases and liquids are called as fluids, are termed or are called as fluids. And just like solids exert pressure because they have some mass and they have some area, right? Similarly, fluids also have some mass, ultimately they have some weight, thus they also exert some pressure. And whenever pressure is exerted on any confined mass of fluid, then that pressure is transmitted without undiminished in all the directions. So if I have a container containing some water, if I have a container with some water or some fluid in it, and if I apply some pressure on top of, this container of fluid, then this pressure is distributed in all the directions of the fluid without any change in its magnitude. That is the property in fluids. Similarly, if we had a bucket filled with water, and if you were to drop an empty water bottle, put an empty water bottle in that bucket filled with water, then you will observe that the bottle will float. And what happens when you try to push this water bottle downwards? You will feel that there is something pushing it back upwards. There is a force which is pushing it back upwards, and that force is applied by the water or the fluid which is present in the bucket. Why it happens so? It happens because, first point, the bottle is pulled downward due to gravity. But all fluids, especially water, applies the fluid or the water applies an equal and upward force on the bottle. So the bottle is pushed upwards. So when you try to apply some force to the bottle and try to immerse it into the water, what happens? The water also in turn applies an equal and opposite amount of force, buoyant force on the water bottle. This upward force, equal and upward force, which opposes the gravitational attraction, is known as buoyant force. This force which is in the direction opposite to the gravitational force, is called as buoyant force. It is always acting in upward direction. The buoyant force is acting in upward direction. So and this property of fluids, where they apply an upward force on any of the objects, is called as buoyancy. This property is also known as buoyancy. Buoyancy. So now, buoyancy can be used to explain why objects float or sink. float or sink. You might have observed or you might have come across the question, why a needle sinks in water whereas a ship which is more massive than that needle can float on the surface of water. Why it happens so? So when a nail is dropped in some container of water, when a nail is dropped in some container of water, what happens is that it sinks, because what happens here, the force of gravity pulls the nail downward, whereas there is buoyancy is also present. The buoyancy is also present, which tries to push the nail upward, but the downward thrust or the downward force is greater, and therefore buoyant force fails to make the nail float. Whereas large ships floating on water, ships or boats floating on water, what happens in their case is that gravity pulls them down, but the buoyant force succeeds in making those objects float on top of the surface of water. Here it happens because in one case the downward thrust wins, and in another case the upward thrust or the buoyant force wins. It happens because of the difference in the densities of both the objects. Now here density means mass per unit volume. Mass per unit volume. Here, when an object sinks, it means it is more dense. It is more dense than the fluid. It is more dense than the fluid. It can be anything. And when an object floats, oil floats on water, right? Oil floats because the object is less dense than the fluid. So this is the reason for why objects float or sink. So Archimedes was a Greek scientist. He discovered the principle subsequently named after him, that which we are studying now, which is known as Archimedes principle. He discovered this principle after noticing that the water in the bathtub overflowed when he stepped into it. He ran through the streets shouting, "Eureka, Eureka," which means "I have got it." This knowledge helped him to determine the purity of the gold in the crown made for the king. So what happened is, Archimedes was a Greek scientist and philosopher, famous philosopher and a scientist, and he discovered a principle that when you immerse an object in some fluid, if you take a container filled to the brim with some fluid, say water, and you immerse a stone in that fluid or water, then you will notice that the water flows outside, or the water overflows from the container, and this fluid or water which has been displaced, the weight of this fluid is always equal to the weight of the object which is fully or partially immersed into the container. So in proper sentences, the principle states, when a body is immersed fully or partially in a fluid, it experiences an upward force, that is the buoyant force. It experiences an upward force that is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced by it. So the upward force acting on the object is equal to its weight. We know that upward buoyant force is equal to the weight of the object, and thus the amount of fluid displaced, the weight of the amount of fluid displaced is always equal to the weight of the object immersed into the fluid. That is what Archimedes principle says. Its applications are wide, among which some are it is used to design ships and submarines, lactometers which are used to determine the purity of a sample of milk, and hydrometers used for determining the density of liquids are also based on this principle. So lastly, we have what is known as relative density. Relative density. Relative density is the ratio of density of a substance to the density of water. So relative density RD is equal to density of a substance to the density of water. Density of water, H2O. So since it is the ratio of densities, relative density does not have any unit. Here is an example 10.7, in which the relative density of silver is equal to 10.8, and density of water is equal to 10 raised to 3 kg per meter cube, 1000 kg per meter cube. So what is the density of silver? Ag is the chemical symbol of silver. So what is the density of silver? We know that relative density is equal to density of the substance, here density of silver, relative density, divided by density of water. So which is equal to 10.8 is equal to density of silver divided by 1000 kg per meter cube. So this implies 10.8 into 1000 is equal to density of silver, which is equal to 10.8 into 10 power 3 kg per meter cube. This is the required density of silver. So with this, we complete our chapter on gravitation. That's all for today. Write your blue questions in the homework book. Thank you.